In the past 10 years, a new generation of artists has made its mark on the history of Disney animation, transporting audiences into worlds full of enchantment and delight. They rejuvenated and expanded on a tradition started in 1937 when Walt Disney dazzled the world with the first feature-length animated film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This success was followed by Pinocchio and Fantasia, which gave birth to many more amazing sights and sounds. In the following years, Disney produced a range of animated movies with stories that would stand the test of time. Hi, I'm Robert Guillaume. As an actor, I've played many roles. But before The Lion King, I had never been a character in a Disney animated film. Well, let me tell you, it's an opportunity any actor would love. It's a chance to become a part of history, because the stories are timeless. In The Lion King, a lion cub tries to follow in the paw prints of a great lion king, like this one. Can he do it or not? That is the age-old question. We've come to this animal preserve to show you some of the beasts and a lot of the beauty which inspired this movie. You'll meet the talented actors who joined me in doing the voices, the creative artists who turned these voices into wild and wonderful characters.
You're learning to love them!
And the highly acclaimed composers and lyricists who wrote tunes I'm sure you'll be humming on your way out of the theater. Welcome to the making of Walt Disney Pictures' The Lion King. Set in the vast African savanna, The Lion King is a story about growing up and taking our place in the world, about the wisdom we inherit from the generations that came before us, and how we must sometimes discover on our own the value of that wisdom.
Father?
You are my son, and the one true king. You must take your place in the circle of life.
I think Lion King really refers back to a lot of things that we've done in the past, like Bambi, of using animal allegories to tell human stories. Very simply, The Lion King is a story of a young lion born to be king of his pride.
This'll all be mine?
Everything the light touches.
Wow.
Who has to go through a lot of difficulties to get there, and most especially who has to learn to believe in himself before he can become what he is fated to be.
Don't you understand? You're our only hope.
Directors Rob Minkoff and Roger Allers guided a team of story artists and writers toward a film which first took shape, as all Disney animated films do, on storyboards. Scenes, gags, and lines of dialogue get worked out in front of an audience of fellow artists. The Disney artists call this process pitching the boards.
You can kind of act it out while you're pitching, these dead drawings that are sitting up there. You can give it some life and help communicate what the intent of the board is.
By imagining and reimagining the story, the artists gradually discovered what would make The Lion King unique.
We realized that what we were trying to do was actually something very different. It was more a story about a father and a son.
Stay low to the ground.
What's going on?
A pouncing lesson.
Oh, very good. Pouncing. Pouncing?
And I think at the heart of the film is that emotional relationship between us and our parents, and how we respond to that, and how we take the wisdom of our parents and move through our lives with that wisdom.
When we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. And so, we are all connected in the great circle of life.
For the voices of the characters, the directors cast actors whose performances could spark the animator's imagination. I am the voice of Rafiki, an old baboon who's like the high priest or wise man of the animal kingdom. James Earl Jones provides the voice of the great King Mufasa, who rules the animal kingdom from Pride Rock.
A king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun. One day, Simba, the sun will set on my time here and will rise with you as the new king.
His voice gets into these such deep, deep registers that he almost really literally sounds like a lion. I mean, his voice rumbles.
Remember.
Home Improvement's Jonathan Taylor Thomas plays Simba as a cub, whose cat's curiosity gets him in trouble.
Whoa.
Matthew Broderick is the voice of the adult Simba, who just wants to live a carefree life, away from all responsibility.
Man, I'm stuffed.
Me too. I ate like a pig.
Pumbaa,
You are a pig. Oh.
Moira Kelly of The Cutting Edge and Chaplin is the voice of Simba's girlfriend, Nala, who convinces her childhood friend to return to the Pride.
What's happened to you? You're not the Simba I remember.
You know, you're starting to sound like my father.
Good. At least one of us does.
Broadway veterans Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella portray fast-talking meerkat Timon and the kamikaze warthog Pumbaa, who teach Simba about the joys of the jungle.
Hey, this looks like a good spot to rustle up some grub.
Ew, what's that?
A grub. What's it look like?
Ew, gross.
Tastes like chicken.
And Academy Award winner Jeremy Irons oozes evil as the king's bad brother, Scar.
An elephant graveyard is no place for a young prince. Oops.
An elephant what? Whoa.
Oh, dear. I've said too much. I suppose you'd have found out sooner or later, you being so clever and all.
And then there's the hyenas.
Well, 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 Bonsai, what have we got here?
I don't know, Shenzi. What do you think, Ed? Just what I was thinking. A trio of trespassers.
We have Shenzi, Bonsai, and Ed. Shenzi is Whoopi Goldberg, who is, brings to it that, you know, sort of fast and smart character.
Streetwise.
Yeah.
No wonder we're dangling at the bottom of the food chain.
Bonsai is Cheech Marin, who is
Frenzied, wild-eyed, crazy man.
Man, I hate lions.
and then of course there's Ed. You can't leave out Ed because he's the laughing hyena of the three of them. He doesn't say a word.
Hey, shut up!
I'm surrounded by idiots.
With the help of Minkoff and Allers, the performers found the character in their voices. Or was it the other way around?
Well, I think the character Simba itself is a lot like me. You know, he's real energetic, always, you know, looking around, trying to see what, you know, real adventurous, trying to see what he can do.
I think I just tried to make it almost like I was reading a bedtime story to a child. Trying to imagine if I were reading this as a story, what voice would I use for Nala? How would I inflect certain words? And just kept it very natural.
I think doing voice for animation is probably acting in its purest, most ancient form. It's a bit like the Greek form of acting in the ancient Greek where they had masks on. In our case, the mask is the animator's drawings, you know.
I had assumed, as I think a lot of the general public assume, that the picture is drawn and then the actor comes along and puts the words to that picture. I hadn't realized that the actor was often the inspiration for the picture.
And they don't send you a script, they take you to a big room and show you pictures and sort of talk the story through, like with a pointer. So they act it out kind of, and they're pointing at each character when that character is speaking. And it's fascinating to watch all the people working on it in the drawing and to see it evolve.
It's sort of like being part of the magic that you grew up with as a child.
This magnificent creature has a wingspan of 7 feet and talons the size of human hands. It's an African eagle. It seems as if everything about Africa, from its one-of-a-kind animals to its breathtaking scenery, is larger than life. Now turn the Disney artists loose with all of Africa to inspire them, and what you're going to get is an explosion of color and characters unlike any you've ever experienced in a Disney film. You can see and hear Africa in every frame of The Lion King, as if the continent itself is a character in the story. Here's a bird's eye view of how Africa inspired the Disney artists. In November 1991, a group of Disney artists traveled to East Africa where they found a world teeming with life, sound, and color, and a landscape that seemed immense.
For the first time, we were dealing with this beautiful visual tapestry of Africa. And I think what the directors tried to achieve was something on an epic scale. They were inspired by the big kind of Western epics or biblical epics. And so visually wanted to create this really unique, enchanted, wonderful place that you've never been to before.
The responsibility of distilling all of Africa into a cohesive design for The Lion King fell to production designer Andy Gaskell.
We've constantly tried to capture the vastness of it. We've tried to inject elements that are a little more subliminal, like sound, for instance. The sound of wind. Simply the effect of having a character standing on the open savanna and having the wind blow his mane, you know, and you can't see the wind, obviously, but you feel it because you see his mane reacting to it, or you see the grass on the savanna just sort of being blown gently. Natural phenomena like that are notoriously hard to capture, but we've really made an all-out effort to capture that.
Gaskell's exhaustive study of different painting styles eventually led the Disney artists to a kind of enhanced naturalism.
Purple in this, it's too sweet. Yes, well, that's not even from the scene. Yeah, well, that's the next scene.
As the picture got further into production, the filmmakers carefully coordinated the artistic elements into a unified design. Many of those elements, from the color of the sky to a galloping wildebeest, were inspired by Africa. In the ongoing alchemy of filmmaking, Africa was a motherlode of ideas. Other elements of Africa can be found in The Lion King's richly textured underscore, written by renowned composer Hans Zimmer, whose credits include Rain Man, Driving Miss Daisy, and Thelma and Louise.
If you have a musician playing an instrument, all they're trying to do is they're trying to get as close to the emotion as possible of a human voice in a way. This cello really sings, you know. So I thought, let's just shortcut that and go straight to the source and get some really good singers together for this.
African choirs conducted by vocalist Lebo helped shape the underscore. Just as Andy Gaskell researched the visual elements of the film, Zimmer spent 2 years looking for the right palette of musical sounds for The Lion King.
You know, I've had people out there hunting down all sorts of odd sounds, instruments, kalimbas, marimbas, you know, all the usual drums they have over there and all the unusual drums they have over there.
The result? A musical tapestry which complements the visual art, and a design for the film that you could call colorful, mystical, majestic, dramatic, or you could just call it Africa.
Isn't this a great place?
Making a Disney animated film takes years of work by hundreds of very creative people. It might begin way upstream with the trickle of an idea. What if we did a film about the animal kingdom, about a young lion who has to struggle with growing up? As this trickle moves downstream, writers put the idea into words, story artists sketch pictures to match the words, actors perform the words, and animators put the performances into motion. Add the directors, producers, editors, musicians, computer artists, and others, each flooding the film with ideas and creative energy of their own, and what you've got is as much a force of nature as it is a film. To bring the most compelling elements of nature to The Lion King, the first step for the animators was to observe the animals they would be animating.
The meerkats, which are pretty neat, they have a really neat way of moving. They're pretty quick and agile.
Ah! Hey, who's the pig? Are you talking to me? Uh-oh, they called him a pig. They call me Mr. Pig!
Warthogs have a nice physical way, even though they look so large and such a robust body, but they're real light on their feet. They do this funny little bouncy walk.
World-famous wildlife expert Jim Fowler came out to the studio and brought a few friends who made quite an impression on the artists.
You can just sense the power in that, and you feel incredibly small and weak compared to this massive, intense creature, you know.
You notice that they are very contact-oriented.
On looking at a lion cub, the first thing you would kind of think is the fact that they're kind of a soft creature, almost like your house cat. But when you actually get your hands on one, you find that it's almost the exact opposite. They're very powerful, very hard.
Animator Ruben Aquino did a detailed study of the way various animals moved. His work became a standard reference for all of the animators on the film, and his drawing of this wildebeest became a herd of hundreds with the help of Disney's innovative CGI, computer-generated imagery, which combines hand-drawn animation with computer technology. Scott Johnston explains how they did it.
Here, for instance, is some hand-drawn animation of a wildebeest, and now here's a computer representation of that same motion. Here we get the sense of that motion rotating in 3 dimensions, where we can place our camera anywhere. But one wildebeest wasn't enough. We needed hundreds of wildebeest. So we had to come up with a way that our animators could control the behavior of hundreds of beasts. So we came up with this idea of a simulation, sort of playing follow the leader. Then the next step is to match it to the background. We've built a grid. On that grid, we place one of these simulations where each of those bugs now gets replaced with a full running, galloping, hopping wildebeest.
The computer might be able to keep track of hundreds of stampeding animals, but only a performer with a pencil can combine movement and emotion to bring a believable character to life.
Getting emotional things across and mechanics and, and getting it all to work, together smoothly. That's a big challenge.
Ellen Woodbury's challenge was having to think like a bird.
It probably looks funny to somebody else, but it really helps for me to get up and move through my scenes the way Zazu, the way I see him moving through the scene, so that I can kind of internalize that stuff.
The animators are cast like actors to match them with characters akin to their own personalities. And why do you think this guy was picked to animate the hyenas?
Do it again.
One of the things the directors asked for is that they came across as sort of mad clowns.
It's not funny, Ed.
That sort of a kind of an evil but funny, but evil, but funny, but evil thing.
Hey, shut up!
The directors Menkoff and Allers asked a lot of their artists. And like the actors they are, all the animators asked for was an audience.
Sold for today.
Everybody sees it down the line, and everybody has a little say in what you're doing. It's more of a team effort that way, and the quality of it will be at a higher level because we all want to push each other for the best possible thing.
I think this is great.
Yeah, it's got to be
where we're going.
How do you measure the greatness of a hero? Well, one way is to size up the foe. If the bad guy is really bad, the hero has to be especially great to defeat him. Now, I'm not going to tell you everything that happens to Simba in The Lion King, but I will say this. Simba is going to have to be one very heroic lion to deal with his uncle Scar.
When I'm king, what'll that make you?
A monkey's uncle.
You're so weird.
You have no idea.
This uncle of his is worse than a castle full of wicked stepmothers.
My favorite nephew.
Yeah, right.
And to make matters even worse for the little lion who would be king, Simba thinks this conniving carnivore is his friend.
An elephant graveyard is no place for a young prince. Oops.
An elephant what? Whoa.
Oh, dear, I've said too much. Well, I suppose you'd have found out sooner or later. You being so clever and all.
The character of Scar resulted from the kind of collaboration you can only see in Disney animation between one of the world's most talented actors, Jeremy Irons.
Will I like the surprise?
Simba, it's to die for.
And one of Disney's most talented animators, Andreas Deja.
I did Gaston in Beauty and the Beast and Jafar for Aladdin, but I think this one is probably the most evil of all villains that I have worked with.
Long live the king.
Deja began by observing the feline qualities he could use in creating a really bad cat.
With Scar, I thought it should be all very smooth and very slick and kind of elegant. So you work out patterns that are not like dancing, but that definitely have a slick, soothing sort of quality to it.
But it was Jeremy Irons' reading of Scar's lines which really brought the character to life.
You run along now and have fun. And remember, it's our little secret.
The great thing about recording a voice for animation, when the picture is being drawn as a result of the sounds you're making, is that you can take it very wild, very broad, and give the animator some nourishment to draw.
He was able to just be the nastiest human being on the face of the earth with these little tiny turns of his voice, you know. And of course, Andreas drew on all of those nuances and gave him visually such a wonderful character as well.
He has a way of playing with the words and twisting them, and it is all interesting. Every line that Jeremy would give me was interesting.
Run away and never return.
I felt that Andreas had caught all the wickedness and all the humor that I wanted to have in him, and more.
Why, if it isn't my big brother descending from on high to mingle with the commoners?
Sarabi and I didn't see you at the presentation of Simba.
That was today? Oh, I feel simply awed.
Must have slipped my mind.
In The Lion King, the music entrances your ear every bit as much as the images delight your eye. Imagine for a second that you could see the world from young Simba's point of view. What would it look like? Every sight, every sound, every smell would be brand new. Anything would be possible. And one day you would rule it all. Now, how do you say that with a song? For The Lion King, a rock and roll legend teamed up with an Academy Award-winning lyricist to provide this and other key pieces to the storytelling puzzle. And in the process, create one of the most memorable collections of songs in Disney animation. Elton John and Tim Rice wrote 5 spellbinding songs for The Lion King over a 2-year period.
It was interesting hearing Elton John sing a song that was going to be in a Disney movie. Sort of stunning to, you know, just to have that happen.
It's great. We pitched him the boards, we pitched him the story, and then he sat down at the piano and played. And he doesn't need a sound stage, he doesn't need anything. His voice is beautiful.
Yeah? What do you think?
You know, you want to work the songs into the fabric of the story so that the songs don't become a pause in the story, that they promote it and help you understand the characters.
I'm gonna be a mighty king, so enemies beware.
Well, I've never seen a king or beast with quite so little hair.
In this number, little Simba looks forward to the day when he can have everything his own way.
I'm brushing up, I'm looking down, I'm working on my roar.
It's a fun track because he's really showing off. And he's thinking, God, this is going to be fabulous. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And no one's going to tell me what to do.
Oh, I just can't wait to be
Here, directors Menkoff and Allers present a song called Hakuna Matata, which was inspired by a Swahili saying.
It means no worries, see? For the rest of your days, it's our problem-free philosophy, Hakuna Matata.
I think it's a good opener and a closer because it can build and build. And it's got a pretty melody.
Everyone who worked with him was astonished at the speed with which Elton John could turn out a tune.
Elton's always said, if I don't get a tune right in 20 minutes, I just throw it away.
I'm not the sort of person that writes every day or sits down at the piano and plays every day at home. But when I've got a project to do, it's usually been a while since I've done something. And so I look forward to them.
The first song Elton John wrote was the film's love song.
You want it to turn out so well. You want kids to see it. You want the adults to like it, and you know the quality you're working with. You're prepared to go to extra lengths to make sure it gets 100% right.
But the song that had to capture the essence of the story did just that right from the start.
When the demo for Circle of Life came in for the first time, I remember we all played it and it stopped and there was silence. Because for the first time you could see what this movie was about. For the first time we said, I understand now. It's about a father and a son. It's about our place in life.
Once we had the song, Hans Zimmer took it and produced it musically and added this sort of African influence, the chanting voices and all that stuff, which brought it into the world of Africa. And it was really that inspired us to create the opening sequence.
I think it's a very, very dramatic opening indeed to the movie.
It's about succession, about living, about dying, and the whole circle carrying on.
The artists who gave life to The Lion King are part of a great succession of dreamers who create the Disney animated films. Who knows? Maybe a young boy or girl will see this film and be inspired by a dream of their own, and some great and future achievement will find its beginnings in The Lion King. On behalf of Rafiki, Zazu, Timon and Pumbaa, Mufasa and Simba, and all the animals in the kingdom, thanks for watching, everybody.
You'll be happy to know that you can see the British television premiere of The Lion King exclusively here on the Disney Channel on December the 14th. Coming up next is another premiere on the Disney Channel's big free-for-all, The Summer of Ben Tyler.